Mr. Shyam Srinivasan. Mr. Shyam Srinivasan took charge as the Managing Director and CEO of Federal Bank as one of the youngest MD at the age of 47. An alumnus of the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata and Regional Engineering College, Tiruchirappalli, Mr. Shyam Srinivasan has worked with leading multinational banks in Indian overseas, across Middle East, India and Southeast Asia. Under the stewardship of Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, Federal Bank has been aggressively pursuing quality growth. Federal Bank was recently listed in the Forbes Asia 200 Best Over a Billion Companies. Mr. Shyam Srinivasan played a major role in kickstarting the digital journey of Federal Bank and launched the first of its kind Open It Yourself account opening app, FedBook Selfie. Presently, Federal Bank is a proven leader in the non-resident Indian segment, dominates in terms of remittances from across the world with a 15% share of the total remittances received. He is a great believer in technology and an avid follower of sports, especially cricket. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Shyam Srinivasan to inspire us by his worthy words.
Hello. Friends, we have planned the session in a bit different manner. What Shyam has actually asked us, rather than delivering a speech, we would be having a fireside chat where some of the questions shall be posed to Shyam, and then he would be, sharing his wisdom to us with all these question and answer session. So, Shyam, how is it like to be in Indore and in this conclave?
Firstly, thank you very much. I have to make a confession. First time ever in my life to Madhya Pradesh. So I'm thrilled, and I have to thank my dear friend and director, Mr. Fadnis, who pulled me out. My results for Q3 is day after. So I usually stay away from everything else, but Mr. Fadnis called and I said, okay, I'll clear everything else and be here. So thank you for this invitation. It looks, the few hours that I've been here, everything has looked good. Our branches are looking cleaner, maybe because I visited. They've cleaned up everything, so it looks very good. Yeah.
Say, Indore has already got, cleanest city of India award for 3 times, and hopefully we will do a chauka this year. I've been told you are an avid cricket fan also. Anyways, since we have got a limited time available, and we would like to top up our account with your wisdoms to the maximum possible, let's straight away come to the point. Say, Shyam, if India comes to you as a customer, submits its loan application along with its future projections, and says that, sir, in 2025, our overall turnover is going to be roughly $5 trillion. Why, as a banker, would you believe it?
Wonderful question. I will not believe it. Not because it's not possible, and I'm not worried whether it is in 2025 or 2026. I will discount the number, but I will look at the construct of what we are trying to do. And I really think too much print and headline is about the 5 trillion, which is good. It's a nice to have a target. But I think the real stuff, a lot of it, what the earlier speaker, Mr. Himanshu, was saying, is what does it take to be 5 trillion? And what he said and what I believe is not so much as the number. It's not 2025. I'm sure Shubhda will have fantastic economic reason why it will be in 25 or 26 or 27, and I am not the best at it. But I'd argue the issue is not the number. The issue is how, what will take, how sustainable, how good, how intrinsically, and how integrity is in behind it. So if India was to approach me, I would certainly write a check. And the check is not money, it's my commitment or my team's commitment. And I think that's what I would love for all of us to do. So the big answer is yes, but not for 5 trillion, but for how we will do it, what we will do, and why we believe it is possible. And I think the challenges all of us are grappling with, which is so evident across the country, is we are enamored by a number. It's always nice to chase a number, but it is the process of getting there, what will drive it, and even more importantly, why it is important to get there, right? Many know China was 5 trillion in 2009, right? In that dollar terms, we are still not, we're talking of 2025. That's a 16-year gap between China and India to get to 5 trillion. Now, so if India were to get to 5 trillion, as China did then, we have to think of the things that we will do those 10 years that China grew at 9-10% real rate of growth. What India needs to do. So I would look at the application from the point of view of what are the 10 things that you're doing to realize that ambition, and A, are they sustainable? To go back to Mr. Himanshu, are they inclusive? Are they carrying India and Bharat at the same time? And is it being done most productively at the relatively creating the ecosystem for the country to flourish? So I think the answer is yes, I will willingly offer the credit, but not looking at the end number, but the path to that number, which I believe is A, required, B, possible. The debate will only be how soon and how well. So I don't know if I help you, but yes.
Okay. No, but say specifically looking at the current scenario, where say probably Indian economy may be called in bankers' language a typical AAA rated customer, but still do we feel 2025 is achievable?
See, arithmetically, if you want to double something in 4 to 5 years, if you use the rule of 72,
True.
you have to grow at 18% to get to 4 years. If you want to get it in 5 years, something around 15-16%. So we are sitting in 2020 and about 2.9 trillion. So to get to 5 trillion in 5 years, arithmetically is possible if you grow at 12-13%, at least close to that number, real rate of growth of 8-9%. But where at 5%, 9% starting now looks a tall ask. So which is why I'm not too fussed whether it's be 25 or 26 or 27, as long as we know we are putting the ingredients for it to happen at 8-9% starting next year. Now, there is an inherent requirement for an 8% growth, a bunch of stuff to happen, right? You have to make the right investments, you have to make sure that productivity goes up, you have to make sure that the employment is in place. So these are what this country is grappling with. And many can say, why have we come into this 5% growth rate? Why not? There are a bunch of reasons, and we can debate that for all day. It is less important that we are where we are. It is more important what we are going to do to be there. And in that context, all the vision, all the plans that all of us are putting in, all the government and the industry should co-work to put together, is now debated ad nauseum. It's time for execution. It's time for making those things happen. Yes, all of us are looking at February 1 as though the budget will change life. At the end of the day, it's just another calendar date with it's a statement of things to do. So I think the big ask for all of us is what will take us to 5 trillion in whatever be the time period are those material big events that have to happen. And foremost is about the investments and creating your jobs. And if these two things we don't do fast enough, or we have more debates and less action, then all this starts looking very doubtful. So intent backed by execution in more real time, which is now, I think is the call of the hour. I'm hoping that all of us, not just this group, a wide group, and the governmental initiatives are being pushed to make that happen. I don't think it's for want of ideas. I think it's for, you no less than the Tata chairman yesterday has spoken about the roadblocks to conduct of business. And I'm sure every leader who's seeking to make those investments wants to believe that his money will not get locked up somewhere and that it will see a reasonably easy flow. So that's where we are.
Okay. So say more action and less debate kind of thing is your
Absolutely.
Okay. Say now coming more specifically to your specialization, that is banking. How the banking is going to contribute in this journey what kind of innovation we may see in terms of say 3 Ps, products, processes and reach to people. And I'm tempted to ask this question specifically because under your leadership, your bank has won the best bank award for innovation in banking products. So what kind of innovation we may see coming in the banking sector?
First, I have to compliment IMA for calling a banker. Today, bankers are, earlier 5 years back, bankers were invited to be chief guests. Now, rarely do bankers get invited everything that is happening. So thank you for taking the pains to invite a banker. So I think from our point of view, at least my belief, I'll just compare it to our own bank. In a very funny way or a coincidence, Federal Bank's business size today is 2.6 lakh crores. Our aspiration is to make it 5 lakh crores in the next 4 years.
So 5 trillion and 5 lakh crore.
I mean, I am no Modi, I am no India, but our internal aspiration, which is a stated point, is to be 5 lakh crores by 2024 end.
Okay.
Which coincides with the 5 trillion is my number, $5 trillion is the India number. And in many ways, we draw a parallel. What will make India and therefore even in federal to double in the next 4 years? Minimally, like I said, we have to grow at 18%. Thankfully, the last 3 years, we have grown more than 18. So that gives me the confidence that 18 is not a number that is unreachable. For India, it may be a bigger challenge, but certainly for federal. But to answer your question, what will banks do? See, at the end of the day, bank is a reflection of the economy and it's a lubrication for the economy, right? The banking system, the most principal act of a banking system is it is a clearing house. Money move is facilitated. The banks don't exist. The big thing that doesn't happen is like a human being's system doesn't work, there's a hemorrhage. So the bank system is the facilitates flow of money. So we are a clearing house, right? In many ways, the operational act of a bank or a transaction bank is to facilitate the transaction. Now, in a transaction, there are a bunch of stuff. One is who's sending, who's receiving, how fast, how quick, and error-free, fastest, cheapest. So I would think the first and foremost thing is bank. Most of us think of bank as a lending institution. It is, but even more importantly, I think it's the clearing house of the country. And the banking system, therefore, has to facilitate movement of money in the most convenient manner. So that's one. Second, of course, a lender. Now, banks by design are not lending long-term money because our source of money is people like you and I who put fixed deposits and term deposits and savings and current, which is not long-term money. So there are the banking system, you cannot rely on the banking system for just the lending part, but you have to rely on it for a bunch of other stuff other than just lending. So the banking system in India is going to facilitate the growth from a point of view of being a remarkably digitally capable institution which is helping facilitation flow of money. Ultimately, current account is M3 is driven by money in circulation, which is what the bank can do materially. Second is to be a lender for the business conduct, which we will do. Third, the fact that the banking system is efficient means it introduces confidence in the economy because the last 5-7 years has been plagued by the conversation of non-performing assets and a bunch of related, not necessarily the most positive connotation. As the banking system capitalizes and comes out of that funk and it starts being a lubricant to the economy, there is a multiplier effect. So the economy needs the banks need the economy, and I am thinking we are at that fantastic threshold or cusp for both to flourish. And which is why I said banks like us or whoever is, as long as our aspiration is both growth and facilitation or lubrication of the economy, I do believe this will happen. But this is just takes two hands to clap. So I'm hoping that we are ready with this. The other side has to come together.
The other side should respond in the similar manner. Okay. Shyam, in fact, what we do at IMA before this particular conclave, we ask some of the students of the city and young managers to write a thesis on the same topic on which we are going to deliberate, and then we declare awards also, for which today is going to be, say, presentation ceremony. Few of those winners of that competition, what we call is Quest for Leader, QFL, and Young Managers Competition, YMC. So few of those winners are here, and in fact they have they were interested in, say, asking some questions to you. So I will be, say, just asking these students to put their query across to Shyam Srinivasan ji. We have got Murtuja Singapurwala from Acropolis College. Murtuza, are you here? Please ask your question to Shyam.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Murtuza, and my question is profits and social goods, which means head and heart. So I would like to ask that how do you manage to balance these two factors in your bank?
Thank you. Very good question. I don't think they are at conflict. If you look at any institution and you believe that if you're building something for a longer, for posterity, then there is no option of compromising one or the other. It's not either or. To my mind, it is an and. And in the journey of building an institution, you will find it's never going to be one straight road. As they say, it's zigzag. There will be wrinkles, there will be issues. And the courage of an institution to show it as is, but with the integrity that you can build something for the longer good, starts from right up there. So in my belief, and last 3-4 months back, I gave an interview to one of the publications. I think India or most corporates give disproportionate weightage to the profits part and less to the governance and the sort of underlying integrity. To my mind, the premium should actually shift.
Yes, sir.
You should shift the premium to the integrity and the longer term commitment. I don't believe profits will be too far behind. And I, with some degree of pride, will say, I've been only at 10 years in this bank, but the bank is 70 plus years old. In all the 70 plus years, and I repeat, in all the 70 plus years, it's never had a loss. It's never had a year when they have not paid dividend. It's never had a year where they are in the press for the wrong things. And I do believe if an institution that was founded in a relatively small town in the south of India is today sitting in the national framework as an important institution, it happened because of the principle of wanting to build sustainable, long-term. See, a lot of stuff that we hear today, ESG, right? These are new nomenclature, CSR, new nomenclature for good practices that existed from time immemorial. So my belief is sticking to the basics, being as keenly observant of your profit number as you are of the governance, control, compliance, integrity, ensures sustenance across time. And there are any number of institutions which can live up to that. So as a young student, I don't think it's a debate either or. It is a clear and the weight of the and is more in favor of governance, control, environment protection, and the stuff that goes around it. Almost certainly profits follow. Yes, you may have one bad year, another bad year, but trust me, across time you will win. And I really think the premium should shift to the y-axis as opposed to the x-axis, assuming y is all about governance and control and compliance and integrity.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So then Chirag Jain from DCBS, Delhi College Business School, he has got another interesting question for you. Chirag.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Chirag Jain. And my question to you is, India's financial inclusion suffers from a gender gap. Do you think Indian women are ideal secretaries to boost the Indian economy?
Could you repeat it again, Chirag?
with Indian financial inclusion suffer from a gender gap, do you think Indian women are hidden secrets to boost Indian economy?
So he's actually asking, do you think India's financial inclusion suffer from a gender gap? Do you think Indian women are hidden secrets to boost Indian economy?
I think this is now a conversation that is, to my mind, less relevant than it was a few years ago, because I think the gender bias, particularly in banking and industries, have almost been pretty much. Yesterday, Mr. Fadnas is here, no, I have two executive directors, one is a lady. She got appointed by RBI yesterday. So, and in our organization, 54% or 48% of the employees are women. Right? And they have equal opportunity to grow. And I want to believe that this is no longer, I know Shubda well, I am 100% sure she will say this conversation is a wrong conversation because women get upset if you treat them in a manner as though they are handicapped. We have to believe they are equally or more competent and give them all the freedom to just like men get. So I don't think this conversation should be given wrong importance. There has been a period where people have talked of women need, and this is entirely my personal view, so if I'm offending somebody, I'm sorry. But I think the conversation narrative has to shift to capability, competence, skill, rather than gender or their other biases. Because that automatically means you have to either give them a favorable treatment or a privileged treatment because of their gender. I think we must move beyond that and believe that capability, skill, desire to commit, desire to be productive, have to be the bigger thing. In my mind, that conversation should disappear from public lexicon. I could be a minority on that, but that's my very firm view, and I don't think I want to give it too much conversation women-men, because it produces wrong judgment. That's a very personal view. I'm sorry if I'm offending somebody on that.
No, but in fact, this is what we would like to listen, your personal views rather than a theoretical kind of answer. Sir, I think because there is some shortage of time available at our end, so some very quick questions again based on that $5 trillion economy thing, and if then time permits, we may take at least one more question from the student. Sir, again as a banker, if I come to you as a customer and this time as a depositor, not as a borrower, India comes to you as a depositor, what you feel I should be depositing in my current account so that I can use it whenever I need in order to achieve that 5 trillion goal? Whether it should be technology, it should be say entrepreneurship, it should be skill development, something which will help me to reach to that particular target.
See, while all the three things you said are important, in my belief, skill development is going to make the difference to being what we want to be. I mean, take today, I will give you a live example which we face. As part of the bank's CSR, we've adopted some villages where we are doing a lot of stuff to upgrade capabilities. One startling fact which we saw, a lot of the smaller hospitals have got CSR funds from somebody, have bought that wonderful scanning equipment. They have not even lifted the plastic cover of the scanning equipment, simply because they don't know how to operate it. Now, this is direct result of lack of skill, awareness, and productivity disaster, because the practices are still the same. So somebody has claimed victory saying that I have invested 1 crore in a CSR project. So that company has put a big tick mark. But that institution which got that hospital, which got that scanning machine, other than reporting saying we have an equipment, doesn't know how to use it because the operator has never been trained. So as a philosophy, I believe skill development is of paramount importance. We have a lot of educated people, but unfortunately unskilled people. As a bank, and I'm sure many institutions are focused on, we've set up skill academies in 4 places in India: Coimbatore, Kochi, Karnal, and in somewhere in the Chandigarh, I forget which location. So, sorry, Kolhapur. in these 4 locations, our principal objective is to take people, irrespective of their education background, and skill them on things that are day-to-day requirement, whether it's a plumber, carpenter, machine operator, lathe operator, equipment operator, because unless that happens, you have a productivity problem in the country. So I think amongst the 3 things you pointed out, the $5 trillion economy is all about everything people say, but I think it's about reskilling, skilling, upgrading, and being contemporary. Technology is just an enabler, right? It is the mind, the heart, which the earlier speaker so brilliantly portrayed, but it is the skill to get things done, and the equipment, and that's just an example, but ultimately it's a skill. We are a nation of 1 billion plus people, all of us who can read and write our name at best, but unless we know how to do and how quickly to do, and there will be truly Indian solutions. We don't have to follow some Western models. And that's the great thing about India. There are, for almost any problem, there's a truly uniquely jugaad Indian solution. How quickly that can happen, how do we remove those cobwebs, how do we get that productive active is our biggest challenge.
Okay. And then apart from technology, say if I want to make a long-term investment, what it should be? Something which will give me a regular return.
I would say, sir, invest in training, invest in learning. We are in a world where, I'm trying to abstract from the India problem to any organization, mine or yours or anybody's organization. You ask any leader today, he doesn't complain that he doesn't have people. He complains he doesn't have people who are appropriately skilled for that task. So you balloon that out, same problem for India. So I don't think we have either shortage of people or shortage of the investment behind it. It is the individual willingness to make that mental transition to be an eternal learner. And I think most of us are struggling. I have a personal crib to today's youngsters. Anything more than a screenshot, nobody is willing to read. All youngsters are happy to read is a WhatsApp page, which is a tragedy. As a personal philosophy, I write to my entire bank every Sunday. Every Sunday I write to the bank. And I write on anything. For example, this weekend I might write about my trip to Indore. I'm hoping that is inspiring somebody to learn something. Nothing to do with tomorrow morning's targets, that is given. But I don't think our aspiration to be what we are versus how we are investing in it to become what we want to be, there's a massive gap, which is why all the frustration, which is why all this media noise about we are not as there. We have to collectively, and I'm hoping IMA is such a progressive, enthusiastic, constructive team, we must make a pledge that everybody is a true learner. And learning not just by reading headlines, by knowing the how and more granularly. And that is the difference between what we want to be, what we can be, and where we are. These are just my observations.
So as a banker, you are pretty sure my account is never going to be in NPA.
Your banker, my bank, I can assure you, no problem. It's in great place. And I'd appeal to everybody, as a marketing plug, move to us.
I think that's all we have for this particular session. I wish we could have more and more discussion with you on all these topics. Friends, I feel bankers are normally considered to be conservative while disbursing loans, but at least this banker is very, very generous enough to share the words of wisdom with all of us. Thank you very much, Shyam. Thanks for being here. Thank you.